Hi, it's me Dan from the Benchmark, doing a little video out here in the countryside. I'm actually outside my old childhood home, which is a bit depressing really, because we don't live here anymore. Why am I doing this video? Questions, because lots of people have been asking questions and a lot of people don't seem to listen to the answers that I give. So, I'm going to go into some now. Quite a few of you asked about the paint. Now, it is booked in for a paint job. I'm not going to tell you what colour it is. I've actually narrowed it down to 3 colours. It's either something violet, which is like a purple colour. Again, it's an OEM B&W colour. Oxford Metallic Green 2, I think it's called. Or Oxford Green 2. That was another colour. And Marrakesh Brown, which is the 3rd colour. It's going to be one of those 3. I've pretty much made my mind up, and I'm going to make it a bit of a surprise. So, yeah, that's happening. So how is the M3? As you know, it's over 16 years old now. It's going to be 17 next year. It is an old car. It's had 10 owners. I believe I'm the 11th. So it's pretty much a worst case M3. Lots of corrosion issues underneath. I've taken care of pretty much all of them now. I had a few problems with some of the bolts breaking and corroding, which caused some serious headaches. So let's go over what I've done to the car. So I bought it and it was completely standard. It just had some spacers on it and eye-bark springs. The spacers were broken, causing a high-speed wobble, which I didn't know when I bought it because I didn't take it for a high-speed test drive. It only manifested itself at 80 plus. Not that I do 80 plus. 70, yeah, 70 plus. And that's why I put the CSL wheels on. I bought those ahead of time. I wasn't planning on putting those on till later. I wasn't sure if it was the wheels or the spacers. I decided just to change the wheels, and that's when I discovered it was the spacers. So I put the wheels on, which had the correct offset, so no need for spacers. The bolts that were on it were nasty Chinese copy bolts that were over tightened. So someone used like one of those ratchet air gun things and just drilled the things on, and they nearly snapped off. I could have reused them, however I made an executive decision to go OEM, and so I spent 80 quid on OEM bolts and the security bolt because they're better. I mean, Chinese cheap bolts are cheap bolts, and I didn't want to risk them breaking or corroding, so OEM bolts. They're copy wheels, they're not OEM wheels, because OEM wheels are about £600 each, and I'm only going to scuff them anyway, so I got CM wheels. They're okay, the correct offset, they look good, right? They're the correct colour, as you can see, like OEM. You'd be very difficult to tell the difference, and if I break them or scuff them, I just get another one. They're cheap, they're like just under 500 quid for a set, so a whole set is less than one wheel. Michelin Pilot Sport 4S, complete overkill. I mean, I bought these tyres, I shouldn't be using them. I think I might put the original wheels back on for winter now, because I'm just wasting them. They're proper hardcore tyres. When they're cold, they don't grip so well. When they're hot, they grip so hard. I can't let the back end go when they're warm. So they are good tyres, but overkill for winter. So I did that. The dampers were weeping. They were the original dampers and they had over 100,000 miles on them. So I changed that as well. I've put Bilstein on, Bilstein B4, with the eye-bark springs that are already on there. I replaced the top mounts as well, the little rubber things, OEM, again. I'm not that impressed with them. In fact, I'm very disappointed. I can't believe it, it's raining. Right, so I'm not impressed with the Bilstein at all. They give a very firm ride. Maybe that's just the car. I mean, it is a sports car, right? I had Bilstein coilovers on my S3 before, and they were amazing. They were more comfortable than the standard suspension that came with that car. And that's why I went Bilstein again, because I was so impressed. And I thought, if I go for B4, which is an OEM replacement, it will be soft, yeah, just a little bit firmer. And I was wrong. They're ridiculously stiff. I'm not that impressed. I might switch to Koni's at a later date. We'll see. So new dampers, the springs are fine, and top mounts are replaced. So suspension, wheels, tyres, all taken care of. What I should mention is how the car was before. It was standard, however, it had some plates welded in underneath and on top at the subframe. So that job was done. That saved me a lot of money and time, because that means I don't need to do the subframe. I inspected it. There's a tiny little bit of corrosion around the welds, but really nothing to worry about. So that was taken care of. The Vanos was done before I had the car, and a compression test was done literally a week before I bought it. I've already mentioned this, but it was 170 PSI across 5 of the cylinders, and one of them had 165. Nothing. Absolutely sound as a pound, as they say. So that was good. And then of course my SMG gearbox blew up. Didn't blow up, no, the pump failed. That was quite emotional. That was dangerous. I did not enjoy that at all. It was the worst place it could possibly fail. So the SMG failed, so I got a Burkhardt pump, and using their apparently superior fluid so far, it's doing well. So the SMG's been taken care of. I have put a CSL replica front bumper on. It's not properly installed yet. It needs to be rejiggled a bit, as you can probably see. And I've had a genuine CSL boot put on. The real deal, all OEM, just the front bumper's not. And the reason why I didn't put an OEM front bumper is because it's a pain in the backside to install that. You have to get a new, is it like a washer bottle? There's a few little bits and pieces you need to get that to fit. And it just costs a fortune. So I've got a replica front bumper. It's not the best, I'm gonna admit. But it's fine, it's fine. It will look pretty good. Good enough for me. The exhaust and the rod bearings. Okay, so the standard exhaust is great, but it weighs a ton, and I just wanted a little bit more. I didn't want to get some cheap eBay special. I wasn't willing to spend 1,500 quid on a Super Sprint. I missed one that was £800 second hand, but that was still a lot of money for a second hand dinged up exhaust. So Haynes & Scott exhaust was available. Now, that wasn't supposed, it's supposed to be a bolt-on, fantastic exhaust that doesn't drone, that just emphasizes the sound of the standard engine. And yes, somewhat it does. It is an amazing sounding exhaust. It sounds, it gives me goosebumps, especially at 5,000 RPM and above. It is incredible, I'm not gonna lie. Absolutely love it. However, after a few days, it started to drone. Between 1,800 and 2,800 RPM. It is pretty loud. However, it's a high revving engine, and it doesn't like to be below about 3,000. So I just have to keep it around 3,000. Fuel economy's taken a bit of a hit, but not that bad. It's getting about 28 miles per gallon. It's actually quite impressive considering, you know, high revving, high horsepower engine. It's pretty good MPG for a petrol car. So yeah, not bad for an old girl. So yeah, I've tried to take care of the drone. I soundproofed the boot, and it did help a little bit, but I think it's not quite enough. I'm going to rejiggle the exhaust mounts. I believe they need to be 17 foot-pound on the hangers, and I think they've been over-tightened. I did the rod bearings. Preventative maintenance, I see it. Now, there's a lot of hoorah about if you need to do the rod bearings. Some people don't want to do it. That's fine. However, I have seen and heard horror stories. Now, you may take care of your car. I'm sure you warm it up and you do the oil changes and you've sent off the oil for analysis, that's fine. But you don't know if damage has been done the previous couple of owners. The rod bearings in these cars are not great. It's a weakness. It is a weakness. It is well documented to be... The bearings are too small and they wear out. I've seen it on the M5s, the M3s, all of the M cars basically. When you get to 100,000 miles plus, you need to start looking at it. I feel that way. And I changed mine. They had about 100,000 miles on them. I took them out and they were pretty much okay. They could have got another 5,000, 10,000 miles. But I did it anyway for peace of mind. Now, a lot of people commented, oh, you know, that was a waste of money. But how are you to know? You see, you don't know how bad your rod bearings are unless you look. Yes, you can send off for an oil analysis, but the damage may have been done in a previous couple of oil changes, and what happens is all the copper and crap, all the metal particles that they look for have been flushed out. So when you do the oil analysis and you send it off, there's no metal in there. So they tell you, hey, it's fine. And you go along, driving it and you have no idea, and then bang, it goes. And that happened to a guy in M3 cutters. He sent his oil off for analysis, it came back clear, and in his preventative maintenance he changed the bearings anyway, and his crankshaft was completely gone, and he had to get a new engine because it was cheaper than to rebuild it. So I did it, it's fine, another 100,000 miles stress-free. I did the steering wheel because my standard wheel was terrible. In fact, the whole interior is terrible. I've also done stuff with the headlights. I've put in the LED light to replace the horrible, I mean, the original side light was black. It's probably the original bulb. It was black. The whole thing was burnt out, and it just gave out like this dark orange, not even a glow. So I put an LED white bulb in there to match the xenon. I also changed the high beam to something a bit more powerful, and it's a bit more white, to match the rest of the lights. Other than that, that's it, really. That's where we are now. The paint is being taken care of. It's happening this winter. The brakes will be taken care of. That's another thing. I'm doing the rear diff. I've got all the parts that are ready. I've got all the oils. So that's going to be flushed out. Seals are going to be changed. I fixed an oil leak that I had. Just needed to tighten up the head to sump pipe. I mean, I've done quite well so far, I think, and I have no plans to get rid of this car. This is a life car, and I've said this, and people say that. I'm not like other YouTubers that just buy a car and flip it and just constantly change. I have no interest in getting rid of it. I've always wanted an M3. I've always wanted an E46 M3. Funnily enough, the one I wanted was carbon black, even though I don't like it, going back over 10 years ago. This has been my favourite car since it's been released. I think everything else pales in insignificance compared to this. Everything that's come after, in my opinion, has not been as good. I've replaced the bushes as well, so that's the last thing that I've done now. I've done the lollipop bushes on the front for power. I've replaced them to PowerFlex. That was an utter pain in the bum, and you're going to see why. And also the rear, what they call, trailing arm, RTAB bushes, again, PowerFlex. That's really tightened the back end. You can feel it when you take off. There's less of this kind of seesaw effect. So those have been done. The diff has also been mounted in PowerFlex bushes. I didn't do that, the previous owner did it. He obviously did it at the same time he had the plates welded in. So everything at the back end's nice and tight. Yeah, so that's where we are now. It's pretty much sorted. It's just superficial stuff at the moment. I've got a new headlight lens coming because this is all scuffed and cloudy and horrible. It's a fully proper replacement. This is Bosch, and there's another Bosch lens going in. Got it quite cheap as well, so I'm chuffed with that. Seems to be a lot of guys at the moment have bought M3s. I just like to remind you, I bought it before most other people. So I'm not really being copied. It's obviously a coincidence. I think that's because people are now starting to realise how great these cars are. I drove a new M3, and though it was good, I didn't really want to buy it. And I like fast cars. Usually when I drive a fast car, I want to buy it. Like the Alpina, I didn't want to give it back. M3, I even got into my diesel 3 Series, and I kind of preferred that in some ways. Surprising. This is the superior, even though it's down on power, it doesn't have much torque. It's a bit clunky, it's a bit dumb-witted in some ways. It's very analog. I prefer it. Isn't that weird? It's down on horsepower and it's way down on torque compared to most modern cars, but I prefer it. I just feel as if, and it's not the manufacturer's fault, it's more the men in Brussels and all these silly little laws that they're bringing out, you know, the emissions regulations. You can't have hydraulic steering anymore. They're going turbocharged. I mean, I like turbos, don't get me wrong. I just don't like what they're doing with them. Right, sorry, I kind of rambled on a little bit. Was there any other questions that you guys have been asking? Yes, the paint job. Oh, goodness gracious, come on. Oh, analysis, already spoke about that. Golf R's faster. Yes, the Golf R is faster. Yes, it is. Most things are faster than this, okay? That was it. Someone asked me, is this fast? Yes and no. If you get into this after getting out of a modern car like a Golf R or even a Golf GTI, it's going to feel slow because the power is at the top of the rev range. I mean, it does have torque. It's got 250 foot-pound from about 2,500 RPM. So it has torque, which is equivalent of like a Golf GTI standard. But you have to work it. You have to really rev it, which is what I enjoy. sort of like a Honda, only more powerful and sounds better. It does have 330 plus horsepower. You know, it is a quick car if you're really gunning for it. But when you're just driving around, it feels slow compared to a modern car anyway. So yes and no, it handles beautifully. That's where it comes alive. I have more confidence chucking this around a corner than I do a modern car because I've got more feel and communication through the steering wheel. And that's why I see a lot of these guys on the Nürburgring caning these. The M3s are not a fast car, it's just you're able to drive it better than some of the more modern cars. It communicates to you. CSL seats, I would love CSL seats. I'm not spending $3 on them. Oh, I've had the shift lights changed, or the orange amber lights on the clocks to the same as the CSL, so it ticks down a lot slower. On the normal M3, I don't know why that is, but they go a lot quicker, which isn't correct. So I've got it slower, which is correct when the oil is at the correct temperature. So it doesn't really clear into about 75 Celsius on the oil temperature. And I do keep it below that. I always warm up this car. And the way I warm it up is I don't let it idle for that long. I mean, I start it, I maybe let it idle for about 10 seconds, and then I put it into gear and I just slowly drive it in first gear. I live down a quiet road anyway where it's 20 miles an hour. And I just kind of slowly, you know, softly drive it until I actually pay attention to the oil temperature. But I follow the amber lights anyway. I like that. I wish more cars did that. It kind of reminds you, you know, don't rev it yet. It's good. All right, I think I should just leave it there. Next time you see me, I should have either lots of sunburn or tan. Probably the sunburn. All right, guys, take care.
Mm-hmm.